A built 6th Gen 4Runner or a bought 6th Gen 4Runner? The age-old question, which is the best way to spend your hard-earned money? So I got the window sticker for both. Our bought example is a 2025 4Runner TRD Pro in the mud bath color. The suggested manufacturer retail price before all the options that have been loaded onto this thing is $66,900. There's a plethora of options here, bringing the total price up to $73,500. And our built example over here is Yoda Mafia's TRD Off-Road Premium with the iForce Max 6th Gen 4Runner in the Everest color with a MSRP of $58,270, and then with all the options that Breland got on it, it's $61,300. Every single mod we're gonna go over on this vehicle, you can find at yodamafia.com. They're also gonna have a full review of this vehicle on their YouTube channel. I have a link and discount for them down in the description. So the base MSRPs are about $8,000 of a difference, and then this one fully loaded is a full $12,000 difference between these two 4Runners. And the wild thing is that with all these modifications that Yoda Mafia put onto their 4Runner, it only cost about $8,000 to $9,000, they said, retail. So with this all in, the 35-inch tires, the 1552 wheels, the front runner roof rack, the ditch lights, the diode dynamics, the 6-element cold air intake, the Whittle Wadder out back, this TRD Off-Road you could get fully built up for still cheaper than a decked out TRD Pro, or getting super close to the base MSRP of the TRD Pro, but you have a fully built out ready off-road, overland, whatever you want to do to your own style 4Runner versus just a simple bought one off the dealership lot. But here's the facts. The TRD Pro actually does come with quite a bit more features on it than the TRD Off-Road, especially when we start up front. You have a heritage style grille, you have rigid fog lights down here, you have a super bright TRD light bar, you also have a hood scoop, which just ties in the whole appearance of the TRD Pro. The con about this though is that the hood does shake quite a bit going down some rough roads. To me, it's not as bad as the Tacoma TRD Pro does, but you still do get some vibration out of the hood on the 4Runner TRD Pro. With that price too, you're gonna get some 33-inch Toyo Open Country all-terrain tires from the factory wrapped around a TRD Pro exclusive wheel for the 4Runner. Back behind that too, we also have Fox QS3 manually adjustable shocks. These have 3 settings for them, whether you're just cruising around town, going to the Starbucks, if you're actually off-roading, going fast, or if you're gonna be rock crawling with your 4Runner, you can manually dampen in your suspension to fit your needs. But if you go built over here, you could do some 35 by 12.5 Toyo Open Country tires. These are wrapped around a 17-inch wheel, so going down from the 18 that the TRD Off-Road comes with to give you a little bit more sidewall. These are 1552 bronze wheels. I think it looks really good with the Everest color. Now behind these wheels, Yoda Mafia, they went with the new Old Man Emu MT64 suspension. That's essentially the same kind of suspension that the Trail Hunter 4Runner gets, but he has different springs out back, making this truck sit up a little bit higher because he tows a trailer with it. And he says it's still super good, solid suspension. And even still, with all this, you're still coming in under that TRD Pro price for a better lift, better appearance, more ground clearance, and also better springs in the back for him to tow his trailer. Now, both of these 4Runners are the hybrid powertrain, making 326 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque. The TRD Pro has 2 extra goodies with it that this TRD Off-Road does not have. And the first one is right here. You actually get a TRD cold air intake. Now, weirdly, Toyota doesn't mention any extra horsepower gains with this intake. It is a cone intake, so it is technically allowing more air into the engine, but the weird thing is I don't really hear that much turbo noise. So over here on the TRD Off-Road, you're gonna get a stock paper air filter with a normal cold air intake. However, Breland has upgraded to the 6-element off-road cold air intake, and they claim it's 14 more horsepower and also 14 more foot-pounds of torque. I have a link for 6-element down in the description as well, guys. They make intakes for the 4Runner, the Tacoma, the Tundra, and also Sequoia. The crazy thing is this cone intake, it gives you way better throttle response than stock, but you can actually hear the turbo out of it. Take a listen. So it's weird that Toyota gives you the TRD intake with the 4Runner, but you can't really hear the turbo noise. If you really want to hear the turbo noise out of this new 4-cylinder 4Runner, you gotta upgrade to the Trail Hunter. Whereas this intake by 6 Element, it's honestly like a solid in between, because you do hear a bit of that turbo. Again, you get better throttle response out of it, actual dyno numbers of horsepower and torque. So I just find it very strange that Toyota doesn't give different horsepower and torque numbers for the 4Runner, because it does have an upgraded intake and also an exhaust. So this is the TRD Performance exhaust for the 4Runner. You'll notice that there's no resonator back here. Whereas over here on the TRD Off-Road, you could see that fat resonator right there. And under the TRD Pro 4Runner, you'll notice that the muffler is a little bit smaller. You also have this little pipe that comes out of it and it caps. Whereas on the TRD Off-Road, you just get a massive muffler and that's about it. So if you know anything about cars, on paper, this TRD Pro should make more horsepower and torque technically than the TRD Off-Road. You have a bigger intake up front stock and you have a more free flowing exhaust. But how does it sound? It sounds okay. It's a 4-cylinder, but one thing I have noticed with driving this vehicle around is it does kind of have some drony noise to it, especially around 2000 RPM if it's in between shifts. So luckily, there's no pumped in fake noise in this TRD Pro, which I do appreciate. The exhaust does sound good when you start to get used to it, but I think if this was able to make a little bit more turbo noise, it would just kind of complete everything, because a TRD Pro is a little bit more rowdy than just a normal 4Runner. So you want to have that pizzazz to it a little bit. But it is a 4-cylinder at the end of the day, and it sounds decent for the exhaust, but it's definitely nothing to write home about. But it is nice that Toyota tried to develop an exhaust system for a 4-cylinder vehicle to make it just sound a little bit more throaty. So honestly, the 4-cylinder 4Runner with a stock exhaust, it sounds fine. The TRD Pro though does definitely have a little bit more bass to it, a little bit more rumble, a little bit more balls, I guess you should say. But when you add the 6-element intake to this and you don't have the exhaust and you just hear the turbos, honestly, to me, that's all you need. What else do you get on the TRD Pro? Well, as I mentioned, you also do get some nice upgraded headlights. These are the premium headlights with the DRL function, whereas over here on the TRD Off-Road, you just get some normal headlights. You get more plastic over here on the TRD Off-Road as well, whereas on the Pro, you have a whole gloss black kind of look to it. And these are actually wider fenders as well on the TRD Pro versus the kind of skinnier ones over here on the Off-Road. Now you have the iForce Max badge on the hood of the TRD Off-Road, and for the Pro, obviously it has to say TRD Pro. You also have black painted mirror caps and black painted door handles. Whereas over here on the Off-Road, it's kind of this cheaper plastic, which I'm not the biggest fan of. I wish that that was paint matched. And same with the door handles. They are also kind of a plastic that I do wish was paint matched. It's gonna say TRD Off-Road right there on the C-pillar. Whereas the 4Runner over here, it does not say that. Rather, the TRD Pro is embossed into the back of the tailgate down there. And we do have the iForce Max badge with gloss black on the lower valence, and also right here where it says Toyota, where you have the buttons to roll down the rear window. As over here on the TRD Off-Road, you're gonna have, again, more plastic on the lower valence and also where it says Toyota on the rear hatch. And then you do have 4Runner right there. Now, I mentioned that there were some options on this TRD Pro. You'll notice this ARB roof rack up here. Kind of cool, right? But is it $1,700 cool? If you want to go bot, you could get a 4Runner roof rack. Again, this is on yotamafia.com. And this is cheaper with a full-length roof rack and the Molly panels than this kind of shorter 3/4 roof rack that Toyota gives you from ARB. And of course, you could get a Whittle Wadder for still under that $1,700, probably all in, I would say, to get on top of the roof of your 4Runner. Personally, I think Westcott Designs has the best rear hatch ladder in the game. And the cool thing about the 4Runner is that you can still roll down the rear window to access stuff if you have a Whittle Wadder on the back. But where you really start to notice a price difference is when you come on inside. So we'll do the TRD Off-Road first here. You're kind of greeted with some plastic right away. It got plastic right here on the door, plastic right there. You do have some soft touch right here, and this being the TRD Off-Road Premium, you do get some memory seats, which is rad, automatic steering wheel or electronic steering wheel, Breland did get the optional 4 auxiliary switches right here, which is a $400 option, but it does come standard on the TRD Pro. You get Softex heated and ventilated seats. Also, I noticed that the center console here is not as soft as the TRD Pro. Also, Breland had to option the moonroof, which is about $900, which you get standard on the TRD Pro. And he does not have the digital rear view mirror, which is another $400 option, but that does come standard on the TRD Pro with the backup trailer assist. Aside from that though, you get the same 14-inch screen, the TRD shift knob. This one is only single zone climate control right here though. You have the wireless charger, you have all your off-road goodies right here, the rear locker, all your multi-terrain select and crawl control, all integrated into the dial. You have a nice little shelf over here for the passenger, but your glove box, again, is plastic. Nothing really special either when you come into the back of the TRD Off-Road. You do have soft touch right here, but again, plastic and plastic, and then just standard 3 seats right back here. Whereas when we come to the TRD Pro, Toyota finally gives you soft touch material on everywhere that it should be on the door, regardless, I think, of trim of the 4Runner, but definitely on a TRD Off-Road Premium, it should have this. But you have nice soft touch here with the red stitching as well, same right here on the door and right here. It does say TRD Pro on the door. You have tons of TRD Pro badging on the inside. You do have some billet kind of sport pedals right down here. There is your light for your TRD light bar. You get these standard, those 4 auxiliary switches, which again was a $400 option on the TRD Off-Road. You also get the standard digital rear view mirror. You also get this $900 option standard as well. And then your seats are kind of the same, but they actually have some camo in the middle of them, and they are heated and ventilated as well with the red stitching. And like I mentioned, this center console on the TRD Pro feels a little bit softer. Maybe there's some extra padding up under here, but it is nice red stitched as well. And then you do have a TRD shifter here with a nice red center line, and that's the same here on the steering wheel. You have a nice red center line with TRD down here at the bottom. You have dual zone climate control in this, which I think is a big miss on Toyota to not put that on the TRD Off-Road Premium. Maybe it'll come in the future, but this has dual climate control, which is always welcome. Both of them do have heated steering wheels. And then over here on the glove box, this is actually a nice soft touch material with Toyota spelt out kind of on this faux carbon that you have going across the whole dash. Both vehicles also come with the standard JBL sound system. You have Toyota Safety Sense 3.0. All those good goodies are still there. It's mainly the materials and the options that you have to pay for on the TRD Off-Road that you essentially get standard here on the TRD Pro. And when you come to the middle row of the 4Runner TRD Pro, you also get soft touch here on the doors, whereas over there on the off-road, it was lacking. Now, when we come to the cargo area, both of these will be the same. However, the Pro does come with these very cool blacked out premium taillights. They look really sick. And then when we open the hatch, both of them are going to be automatic. You can also do a kick sensor if you want. And since they're hybrids, they do have kind of this little platform here with storage underneath. But another option that this one has, you know, getting it up to that $73,000 price, is we do have a built-in air compressor actually right back here, which is pretty sweet, but that is $1,400. Also back here too, it's optioned with these lights right there in the D pillar and the lights up top as well. Which adding those lights to the tailgate and the D pillar is about a $575 option. Over here on Breland's, he did not elect to get that. However, you still do get the standard LED lights right here, which are plenty bright. And if you're building it out, saving that money, $575 or so, you could put your own kind of lights up here if you really want, or swap out these ones for just brighter LEDs. And of course, back here in the back, you just don't get those cool premium taillights. Other options with this 4Runner include those red D-rings down there. I guess Toyota charged for those. There's a rear diff skid plate. This one has both 4Runner floor mats that were optioned for it as a press vehicle and also the all-weather ones. And you get that cool little light in the dashboard as well, plus a rear diff skid and a plethora of other options that 4Runner has on it. That's kind of how press vehicles are, guys. You could still get a TRD Pro for relatively cheap, but when they come into the press fleet, Toyota does like to put a lot of options on them just so people can see what they can accessorize their vehicles with straight from the dealership. So that is a pro to do if you want. You get everything under warranty all under one package, and also one payment if you can afford that type of vehicle, or even like an SR5 4Runner or something like that. But when you do it the built way, there's just something more personal about it. You get to change the vehicle how you want to change it. You get to put the tires, the wheels, the type of roof rack you like, the type of whittle wadder in the back, or different rock sliders, whatever you want to do to your vehicle. There's tons of third-party companies that do great quality work, and you get to make it your own. Now, the con to that is now you're having to find a shop like Yoda Mafia. They're a great shop, but you're having to then go do shop time, pay someone labor to potentially do it if you can't do it in your garage, but they'll do great quality work. And that's finding a shop that does great quality work, and if they have the parts in stock as well, versus just buying it straight from the dealership. Boom, you sign your name away, you put your money down, you drive off the lot. So that's bought, and then that's built. Personally, I like to build my vehicles. I do like what Toyota has to offer in a stock form, but I like making my vehicles my own. I'm sure a lot of vehicle enthusiasts, they also like making their vehicles their own, but which one would you guys do? Let me know down in the comment section. I truly appreciate you all watching. Definitely check out Yoda Mafia and also 6 Element down in the description. I will catch you all in the next one. All right, see you later.